Hi everybody, welcome to another pick of my pops. Now I ran a poll a couple of days ago on Twitter to see who I should do next, and it ended up a tie, so I've chosen the casting vote. It won't be Queen this time, it is going to be the Kinks. I'm going to be looking at my favourite songs by legendary 60s pop artists, the Kinks. Now, to give a little bit of background of my history with them so you can see where I'm coming from, I am not what you would call a massive fan of the Kinks. I really like a lot of their songs, but I've never really studied them. I've never really had shared experiences with the Kinks to know really whether the songs that I love the most are the songs that are generally loved the most. I might be picking ones here that could be quite unusual, but I really don't know. So I'm not going to talk through every single song here on this list. I've done a top 25. Here's numbers 25 to 16 for you. I'm not going to talk through those, but these are all Kinks songs that I really like, but didn't quite make the top 15. But at number 15, I have gone for Tired of Waiting for You. So, you know, it's past that initial phase of the Kinks' first hits, like You Really Got Me and All Day and All of the Night. And it's just starting to just slightly go in the direction that the Kinks would be known for. You know, Ray Davies with his sort of very English type songs, and it's just starting to move in that direction. But you know, a classic pop single of the era, and I've gone for that at number 15. At number 14, this is from 1969. This is ShangriLa. So I think this is a really good later period Kinks song, and for me, maybe not for others, but by the time you get to about 1969, that's quite late period for the Kinks as far as I'm concerned. But a real nice song that just sort of starts off really gentle and just builds up into a bit of an epic, really. And it's one that I didn't have. I sort of mainly had best ofs, the Kinks, and this wasn't on any of them, so it was only really once I started exploring some of the albums that I got to know this song. But I think well worthy of a place in the top 15. That is ShangriLa. At number 13, Celluloid Heroes. So this song comes from the Everybody's in Showbiz album, and it's a real classic sort of Ray Davies anthem to the past, in this case the sort of past glories of Hollywood and all those old movie stars. And it's quite a kind of a moving song. I'm guessing back then in the late 60s when this came out, I'm guessing that even then it was probably quite a nostalgic song, looking back at some of the sort of movie heroes of previous decades. But now 50 years on, it's looking way back in the past. But again, it's another beautiful song by Mr. Davies. At number 12, now did I first get to know the covers version by the Jam? I'm not quite sure. It was around a similar time, but it's David Watts. So another classic, very English song by Ray Davies, you know, looking at David Watts as being the head boy of the school, the captain of the team, and just sort of saying that's the boy that I want to be like. But a great pop song. David Watts, I do really love the Jam's cover version of it as well. So I kind of got to know them both at the same time, really. Number 11, Ultim Almanac. So again, I mean, you're always going to be saying, when you talk about Ray Davies, you're going to be talking about very English songs and him sort of painting very, very great pictures with his lyrics. And this is another one. Ultim Almanac is, you know, if you just read the lyrics on a piece of paper, you might not sort of guess what kind of a song it is. I think it's probably a lot more up-tempo than the lyrics might suggest that it's going to be. But yeah, another great song of the era. And that's at my number 11. And now we're into the top 10. Number 10, Sunny Afternoon. So we're definitely getting into this phase now of Ray Davies writing these very, very English songs. And it came around, it's very sort of similar time period to when the Beatles were doing Good Day Sunshine, for example. It's that very sort of English, sitting in an English garden and the sun's shining and let's write a song about it. But definitely a classic of its era. And number 9, I've gone for Days. So again, this is maybe one where I might have got to know the cover version first. In this case, Kirsty MacColl. She did a good cover version of it back in, was it the late 80s, early 90s? I can't remember. But again, classic song, definitely one of my favourites by the Kinks. And at number 8, I Don't know whether this is one of the ones where other people might not have had it in here, but, you know, I always say when it comes to favourites, you can't be wrong, really. If somebody says a song is one of their favourites, then it is. That can't be argued about. If I was going to argue it as the best, then that's a different matter, and that's open to discussion. But one of my favourites is Dedicated Follower of Fashion. I just think it's one of the sort of archetypal songs about that sort of swing in London, that period of the mid-60s where clothes were starting to get a lot more flamboyant and men were sort of breaking out from just wearing very sort of dark suits, you know, white shirt, dark tie, dark suit, maybe a dark overcoat and a hat, and everything was just exploding into colour. And I think this is one of those songs that kind of sums it up perfectly for me. I kind of think of an Austin Powers character, or somebody sort of a city dandy sort of waltzing through town in his in all his finery when I think of this song. But I think that's a great one. That's my number 8. The next two really are also ones where I just really don't know how other people would place these, because of, you know, me saying that my experience with the Kinks is like a very solitary thing, really. I've never really explored what other people like here. But at number 7, I've gone for Plastic Man, which is I just think it's such a fun pop song. And this is actually the last single that was recorded by the classic original Kinks lineup before Pete Quaife left the band in the very late 60s. And it was also a song that it got censored by the BBC because it had the word bum in it. Which is crazy, really, looking back on it now when you think of all the things that would get played these days. But I just think it's such a fun pop song, and it's always one that I've really enjoyed. Right from the very first time I started listening to the Kinks, this one stood out to me as a real kind of highlight. So that's Plastic Man at number 7. At number 6, it's another Man song, and it's Ape Man. Now, if Plastic Man is that much fun, I think Ape Man is this much fun. It's obviously Ray Davies and his sort of take on the human race and what they were doing to the world, and how he didn't really want to be part of it, and he just wants to go and sort of sit somewhere in the quiet and not be part of all the madness that's going on in the world. But again, I think it's just an incredibly fun song, and it's always been one of my favourites. So we're into the top 5 now. Now, number 5, this has quite a special sort of place in here for me, does this song. This is this is probably, in terms of songs, that when I've heard them for the first time, I can't remember any other song, apart from possibly one, grabbing me as much as this did on the very first listen. And it's Big Sky. Now, I'm a sucker for those kind of talky kind of songs. I don't necessarily mean rap songs. I don't mind a bit of rap, but in terms of songs where the singer is talking the lyrics, I've always been a bit of a sucker for those. But Big Sky just absolutely just captivated me the very first time I heard it, and which was probably only about 15 years ago, to be honest. But it's a song that I absolutely fell in love with. Ray did a good cover version of it a few years back when he did his album with the Crouch End Chorus. So the Kinks Choral Collection's got a good cover version of this, but it doesn't beat the original for me. Absolutely classic song at number 5. That song, of course, was from the Village Green Preservation Society album. And at number 4, I've gone with the title track, Village Green Preservation Society. So, you know, there's different levels of how Ray Davies can a song be. And this is right up there. This is about as Ray as a song can be. It's so English. It's painting a picture of a village green, of cricket matches on the green, and drinking tea and having jam, and it's just so English. But you know, I'm English, so I'm going to like that kind of thing. But absolutely brilliant pop song. I've heard a few cover versions over the years. There's a cover version I really like by Kate Rusby, who's a folk singer from a few miles down the road from where I am, and I'm a big fan of Kate Rusby. She did a great version of this. But again, you ain't beating the Kinks original of Village Green Preservation Society. That is my number 4. At number 3, Ray getting satirical here, and it's Victoria. So it's his statement on Victorian Britain. And, you know, you can, if you don't listen too closely, you can take it as a tribute to all that. If you listen a bit more closely, then you can see how he's maybe sort of having a dig at that whole era. But again, I just think it's an absolutely fantastic song from start to finish. It's pretty much a perfect song as far as I'm concerned, but it makes number 3 in my list. Now, number 2. A lot of people would have this at number 1. There is absolutely no doubt. And if I was trying to come up with what I thought were the best Kinks songs, then rather than my favourites, then I think I would have this at number 1 as well, because it is just an absolute all-time classic. You can probably see where I'm going with this. It's Waterloo Sunset. Just an absolutely beautiful melody, beautiful lyrics, and just performed fantastically. And it just evokes so many sort of images of London and British life of the 60s. Absolutely tremendous song. Well worth its place as an all-time classic, which it absolutely is. But I'm talking about my favourites here. And there is a Kinks song that I would have above it as a favourite. But like I say, if we were choosing best, I think I would probably have Waterloo Sunset at number 1. So we've reached my number 1, my favourite song by the Kinks. And it's that classic tale of going to a bar, picking up a girl, and then at the end finding out that was no girl. It is, of course, Lola. And it was quite a saucy song for 1970, and the BBC banned it, of course. But they didn't ban it for the saucy lyrics. No, they managed to find another way to ban it because it mentioned Coca-Cola and therefore it was advertising. So Ray then had to re-record that line as Cherry Cola, being a bit more generic. But an absolutely classic song. Like I say, if I was talking about the best Kinks song, as subjective as that is, I would probably say it's Waterloo Sunset. But my favourite has always been Lola. I just think it's absolutely tremendous song to sing along to play on guitar, and to just really enjoy. Absolutely fantastic. Now, like I say, my favourite Kinks songs are really ones that I've found myself, because I've never really had, like I say, shared experiences with the Kinks. So I don't know how this list compares to one that you might have. So I'm really interested to hear down in the comments, what are your favourite Kinks songs? And are there any that really surprise you here? Like I say, it can't be wrong if it's my favourites, because that's a distinct thing to best of. But I would love to hear yours. So let me know in the comments, and I will see you again very soon. Thank you very much. Goodbye.